That's so funny, ChatGPT.
Let me tell you another one. So the other day, I was working on a project and my cat jumped onto my desk, walked across the keyboard, and sent a gibberish email to my team. Everyone thought it was hilarious, and now they're convinced she's a coding genius.
Hi. Thanks for coming back. I was a bit worried after my last video that you wouldn't come back because I know it was a bit dull in places, but I think it's really important to cover these things. But anyway, in this video, we're going to get into some nitty gritty and we're going to look at AI coding tools. But the first tool I think is here, and I want to show it to you. Coffee. Coffee stimulates your brain, keeps you awake, gives you focus. Highly recommend it. Now, you could use things like Red Bull or Monster Energy, but they're so full of like chemicals and sugar and stuff like that. I don't recommend them. I recommend black coffee, no sugar, no milk, and plenty of it. The other tool is Cursor. Now, Cursor is a fork of VS Code. And what they basically did is they built AI directly into it. And you can go to cursor.com and download it. You can download it for free and start using it for free. But there is, you will run out of credits quite quickly if you use it. And so I do recommend you get a pro subscription. It's only $20 a month. It's about the same as most AI tools. So let's go through Cursor and I'll show you how it kind of works. So I've downloaded it here, as you can see. The first thing is to get your settings done. And so here you click on the settings button in the top right-hand corner. And the first is just has some general stuff here. We won't go into that, not interested. Now, I'm not going to go through every setting because you can have a look at it. I think it's very clear. But just want to highlight some things that you should know. So Cursor has something called agent mode, and this is the this is where it can actually run commands and actually write your code, create files, move files, delete files, do a lot of stuff, and that's really the most important thing. So when it opens the new chats, and we'll see a chat in a moment, the default I've got is to agent mode. You can there's some other modes here, but agent mode is the one you want to use. So you want to click this one, okay? So this used to be called YOLO mode, I believe, but it says allow agent to run tools without asking for confirmation, such as executing commands and writing to files. This is where the real power of Cursor gets unlocked. And you can put the commands that it can run here. So it's just not going to go off and start doing crazy things. If it's not here, it doesn't run. There is a deny list of commands. I don't understand why there's a deny list and an allow list when if it's not in here, it doesn't tend to run the command. But you can just run an extra, say if you wanted to put Git in there and allow it to run Git, you could put it in there. I personally don't want it to run Git. But what I do is that when it comes up and it needs to run command and it doesn't have permission, you have to press the run button. I might look at the command it's running and decide, should I just allow that automatically? And I've come up with this list so far of commands I'm happy for it to run. I don't think it can do too much damage. I mean, you can make directories, you can CD, move files around. Okay, you can kill processes, but that's still not too bad. So I kind of tend to add to this list as I use it. Okay, so that's really important to allow it to run in agent mode. And then down here, sometimes it kind of doesn't know what about the latest software, the latest updates, the latest features, the libraries that have come out, or the frameworks. And so you might find it using slightly older versions of stuff. This is where you can point it to the latest documentation for your favorite library, for your favorite framework or whatever. And you just you put the link in here, and then it will index that page, and then it really understands what it can use from that. So that's quite important as well. You might find that useful, especially if you're kind of regularly using certain libraries. Models, obviously, what models are going to use? It's got quite a long list of models. Now, the main model for coding tends to be Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which I've obviously ticked here. 3.7 came out, but a lot of people think it's a bit chatty and verbose, and yeah, maybe I do think that is the case, and so it may be best to stick with Claude 3.5. I also have got Gemini 2.5 Pro here, and the reason is that I've also seen some good results from Gemini Pro. And when you think about it, it makes sense, because what are these models trained on? Well, they're trained on code on the internet. Well, what code on the internet? Well, probably GitHub open source and GitHub public repositories. But that's not all the code in the world. A lot of code and common languages and frameworks, like obviously JavaScript and React. I mean, Claude's going to be great at that because it's trained on a lot of that. But what about other languages? And I even found that using Angular is not so good, because maybe Angular is more for enterprises. They keep their code private. Now, where did Angular come from? It came from Google. So I expect Google have a lot of code. So maybe Google as a software company with a lot of code, you look at the products, there's a massive list of products. I mean, but just the ones that we all know and love, the search engine, Gmail, Android, and YouTube, for example. If it's trained in all of these languages, then it's all the languages used in these products, then yeah, you can think it's going to be maybe kind of something interesting to look at. So see what kind of results you can pick other models, and you can just try it out. It's a bit of experimentation. And then finally, the really important one is the rules. This is just a text box that you type into. Now, I'm not going to go through all the details. You can just pause the video and have a look through yourself. But I just want to highlight some bits here. The first bit is my first command to it. So you are an expert software developer focused on writing clean, maintainable code. Unfortunately, it doesn't always adhere to that. And I was chatting with a friend about this, and he said he looks on Cursor like an enthusiastic junior developer, which is a quite great way of looking at it, actually. It is very enthusiastic, and it does make mistakes. And so, yeah, I think that's a nice way of looking at it. You need to check its work, yeah? There's also about prioritize these qualities, minimal, don't write too much code, don't be too verbose, make sure it's self-documenting, and be good with your naming and stuff like that. So this is some kind of high-level rules, whatever language you're using, this makes sense. This next piece is for the agent to show you what it's doing by putting a thinking tag, and then identify core requirements, consider 3 implementation approaches. This is to get it kind of thinking. Maybe the first implementation approach is not, and maybe it wouldn't do 3 unless you told it. So, sometimes you have to be very prescriptive with it. And so, yeah. And even here, look, this will be clear to a junior dev. Again, you're setting the context for it. After that, then just put details about your favorite languages. Here I put I'm talking about TypeScript preferences, talking about Next.js, talking about Python, talking about Git, about how you want it to behave. And, whatever language you're using, I mean, this is just what I tend to be using at the moment, but whatever language you're using or whatever framework you're using, tell it how to behave. Otherwise, it's just going to make it up. And maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. We will go into a bit more detail on the Next.js project when we actually start building some software using the product requirements document we created in the last video. Okay, so these are the Cursor rules. Very important. Don't even start using Cursor until you've been through this and put some meaningful rules in there, because otherwise it's just going to probably frustrate you with its kind of random things it will get up to. So that's the Cursor settings. By the way, just like VS Code, you have all the extensions that you can use and love. They're just all down here. Okay. And so if you want to bring up the Cursor agent, you mean Command L or Control L, I think, in Windows, and it's here. And now, do you see up here? So you can actually change it. So it's in agent mode by default, but you can just say ask mode or manual mode ask. It will just tell you, ask it for opinions, how you should code this, what you should do. It will just tell you. Manual, it will actually try and go ahead and doing it, but of course it's not in agent mode, so you're going to have to do things yourself. Here auto, because I've I've selected 3 models. It's got auto select, or you can actually select it to say, I want to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And then, you put your command in here, and we'll be doing that on the next video. So that's about all for now. I thank you for listening along. I really appreciate it. As I said before, leave comments, what you'd like to see next. On the next video, I'm going to be actually writing an app.